I see bitches, doing dildos in extensive body. Itching, having shots where I ain't lit up.
Alright, starting it off how I did the first video, I just quickly made a shake. If you want to copy the settings, these are them. 2.4 amp, 11 freak, and 0.310 wobbler. I didn't change the seed, just a default shake. You can change the seed if you want to use it. This is the X shake, the Y shake, the Z shake, and the tilt. And it's the same for the shake. The graph I used was this one. In this video, I will make sure to, in the last one I didn't really do this, but I'll make presets for everything and put them in a Google Drive for the people who want them. And then I'll also put if you have flow, I'll put the graph in there. But if you don't, this is just what it looks like if you want to try your best to replicate it. I'll even open up the graph editor so you can see it a little bit more, but it should look something like that if you're in graph editor. Anyways, in the old video, I start off with warps, so I'll just do that first and then move on from there. So the first warp, I'll do warp bubbles first. So these are the default settings. My settings are 1.01. For the shift speed, I hold shift and drag it all the way and let it hit max. And then for the Y and X, that's where I kind of just hold shift until I find a point that I like. So like I kind of like this. And usually that's good, like that's perfect for me. I do change the seats sometimes, but only, it's like this, we'll do that, that looks fine to me. And then put it at the end. And then again for the graph, I'll use a graph like this. This is kind of my main graph for everything. And then I'll just duplicate this and put this on the next clip. And again, I'll do a 2 keyframe back, so 1, 2, and then put this to 0. Easy ease the whole thing with F9, and then reuse the graph for those two. And boom. So now you got your first warp count. Can't really see it, so I guess I'll remove the shake because the shake frequency is really high. So let me try that. And again, if you don't like how strong it is, what I've done sometimes is I'll change the amp to like 0.5, 0.6, but you never want to go over 1. But once you change the amplitude, you should probably start playing around with the seed. So I'll do like that. But yeah, there is fine. Then when you put the shake on it, it usually looks better. You don't really use warp bubble by itself. But yeah, you can see it a lot more. So the settings for that, again, I'll make a preset for it, so there's no worries if you missed it, but these are the settings. And this is the other settings. Right here. And then I think I went over warp puddle as well. My settings for those are the same. I never really changed them. It's just 0.2 and then 0.25, and then I hold shift, and you kind of just want to dictate if you want to do, you play around with the phase start to see what you like. So I'll do this one like this, and then the other one I'll do it the different direction or the different phase. So Control D, put that there, put that there. So this one would be like a pinch, but that one would be like a bulge. So, and the pinch that I like is usually, it's that one right there. And then again, same graph. Let's see. So yeah, and I think I went over how to kind of, like if you're using warp puddle, like this version, like the pinch, how to like kind of build your way into it. So for one, you could just keep it like this, like you could do the 2 build keyframe, and it will kind of, yeah, you see it pinching like towards the middle, like around here. But if you don't like that, then you could just simply have it like this, do the 1 graph, and then make a 1 framer of warp, and then put fisheye on it, and it kind of looks the exact same. Just do -100, and yeah. It's a little bit more aggressive. I do these mainly in like picture edits or transition edits, but it's kind of the same thing. Okay, and then I think I did distort chroma. I don't use distort chroma anymore. I use distort RGB, which is kind of the same thing, but yeah, I'll just go over the settings. It's the same thing as the distort chroma. I either do 0.2 or do 0.25, which is really not much of a difference, but I'll quickly do it anyways. Again, I'll do the same 2 keyframe buildup for this clip. Put this to 0. I don't really change the settings, I just literally change the amount. I haven't really experimented with changing the settings yet. I think I've done it like once to make the colors a little bit different. But you know what, I'll do it here just to see what I can get. So, oh, okay, I see. Just kind of makes the colors more intense. And then that just rotates it. And then the blur lens is, I guess, the actual warp itself. So what it looks like. Okay. And then the amount is, I mean, it's kind of, you can kind of make sense out of it. But yeah, this is what it usually will look like. Yeah, this clip has no shape to just show you what it will look like. But yeah, it's quick, easy. Yeah. And then I quickly went over motion detect. I think I went over time warp RGB. So I'll just do that again. Again, settings are the same. I don't really change them. However, sometimes I will blend it with like overlay, or I'll blend it with lighten. I'll blend it with, you know, I'll just keep planning a blending mode to change. For this one, I use overlay, and you just keyframe the opacity by pressing T, 100 to 0. And again, you can use the sharp graph, kind of optional. And then again, I'll duplicate it here so you can see. It's not easy to use. Yeah. So yeah, it starts, you could see the clip after kind of on a frame before. So you could technically use this as a transition if you do it right. Most of the time I put my time warp for my motion detect under my shake, so that, because these effects low-key will kill your shakes, like it'll make your shake look a lot weaker than it actually is. So to get rid of that altogether, I just put it under my shake. Very optional though. I guess I'll go for motion detect too. So motion detect, again, I already talked about it in my other video, but to go over it kind of again, you have multiple modes, and it kind of does the same thing as time warp, it's just a little different. So you have motion only. I'll take these off of overlay so you can see what they look like normally. And let me see, yeah, it looks a little bit like this. You've probably seen this effect before in multiple edits. Oops, wrong effect. So you have motion only, you have mult or multiply, you have add, and they all look somewhat different. And then you have screen, difference, you have overlay, you have subtract. I personally use mainly subtract, difference, and motion only. I don't really touch the other two, but difference is by far my favorite one. I just like the way it looks. There's no real difference. And what I'll do is I usually just put time warp RGB on it as well, and it'll do that. And there you go. You got some cool RGB motion detect, cool stuff. Yeah. So I'll put it on this clip. Well, actually I won't, because it's the first clip, and you don't really want to put it on that one. So I'll just leave the time warp. So yeah, looks a little bit like that. And you honestly don't really have to graph it. You could literally just easy ease the whole thing if you want to, or you could just let the motion detect play out. So this is it all easy eased. It's gonna be a lot slower, and then with no graph here, it will just leave the motion detect. And you can see by the little lines that it creates because of the difference. So yeah. Alright, moving on. We have colorama. This is probably one of my favorite effects to use. I'll show you what it looks like. When you first look at it, you're probably like, ew, what is this? However, this is not, I mean, you could leave it like this if you want it to look like this, but what I normally do is I'll blend it with overlay, and it completely changes how it looks. So I literally just do different blending modes for this effect. So you got darken, multiply, well, that's another one. I think I use screen sometimes. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, it just makes it a lot more brighter. You have lighten, and etc, etc. You literally just keep playing around with the overlay. And I mean the blending modes. Anyways, so for this, I'll just do overlay. This is what I normally do. So up here you have input phase, and this is the phase shift. This just rotates the colors around. So I usually just kind of find a color that I like. There's no real preference or anything. I'll literally just sometimes I'll literally just spin the wheel 4 times, whatever I land on is what I'll use. But usually I try to just find what's a color that fits like, what I'm going for. So you know what, this honestly is kind of cool, so I'm going to use this one. And again, literally just keyframe it with opacity, and then boom, boom, and then I'll do the same thing on this clip. You don't really need the 2 keyframe buildup going into the next clip if you want to use it, but it's kind of optional. I do sometimes I don't. It just depends on the edit itself. There's no real like, yeah, nothing. It's just whatever you like. So again, for the input phase, you know, to make it look different, I'll just spin the wheel again. What a color I like, and I think I want to do like a oversaturated color, like something like this. And then this is what it will look like. So yeah, it's honestly like a better effect to use when you already have other effects under it or over it. So it's kind of ugly like by itself, I'll be honest. I usually have like different colors over it. You know, just other stuff with it, but it is a really cool effect. And in my last video, I think I did like effect combos. My effect combo, I'm saying that with quotations, is I literally just do colorama and time warp on it, and it is very cool. And for sometimes I'll even do colorama and motion detect. So I'll put motion detect on this clip and I'll move it to the top. And then let's say we do difference, and we'll keep the same colorama. Well, actually, we want it to look different, so I'll do motion only for this. And then for this one, I'll leave time warp RGB, and this is usually what it looks like. As you can see, it's very quick because of the motion detect, but it's very nice when your clip's longer. These are very short, like twigs I just made, so it's not going to show you the full effect. But yeah, that's The next effect is going to be VC Color Vibrance. This plugin is actually free, so I will be leaving a link in the description for it. This is essentially what it does. It's kind of like, well, it's in the name, color vibrance. So you can change the color to whatever you want. So red, blue, green, yeah, all the colors you have. And you kind of just want to play around with the settings. Vibrance turns down the color. The higher it goes, the more, you know, red it is. The preserve, Luma makes the clip darker. And again, it will only keep certain things that are, I don't really know how to explain it honestly, but I don't really touch that, kinda, only sometimes. Like I'll do like a little bit, never too much. Brightness, that kind of is self-explanatory. You just turn the brightness up of the VC color. The gamma makes it darker. Sometimes I do that too, and if you turn it up, it's kind of the same thing as brightness, just a lot brighter. I usually turn this down just a little bit, but not too crazy, like just maybe like here or something. And essentially, you could either blend it with overlay, you could keep it regular. It's really up to you. Like what I'll do is for this, you can kind of do any blending mode, but mainly mine is just overlay and normal. So for this, I'll just do normal. Well, actually, I don't like that. I'll do overlay. And again, just keyframe it. You could use a fast graph or just a simple easy ease. And I'll do the same thing on this clip, and I'll even change it up a little bit so it's slightly different. Oops. Okay. Sometimes what I do as well is I will keyframe the color. So I'll do like red here, and then it ends off on like, let's take like the purple from her hair. I'll take like this purple right here. So the color will start to switch mid transitions, so it's very faint, but because of the graph, but like it changes from like a dark red to the purple over here. I'll ease this so you can actually see it. It's kind of hard to make out, and I'll go through it frame by frame. You can see it slowly changing, while fast graph is, or use a sharper graph for that. You can see the color changing. Let me change colors. I need a brighter color. Maybe like green or something. Yeah, it's gonna start changing colors, and yeah, start changing colors. Again, the color, the effect combo I do for this, again in quotations, is just time warp and motion detect. That's kind of about it. A lot of like the effects I use are very repetitive. I don't really do anything too crazy. I kind of use the same, like 5 in the same edit, but these are very cool. So yeah, and I'll play it so you can see it. yeah, that's usually what it looks like. Again, if you have other effects on top of it or under it, it'll look slightly different, but that is how you do that. And again, I'll put the link to it because it is a free effect. So yeah. Alright, for this next effect, we have s_hotspots or just hotspots. This effect is very good. Like, I use this on almost every edit. Essentially, how do I explain this? Hotspots. I'm trying to think. You know what? To make it a simple definition of it is just making things darker. That's the best way I can describe it. So what I do usually is I'll just make it slightly darker. So let's say I don't want my colors to crash, so colors crashing, or like it just looks really weird. It's like these little lines are here. You don't really want it to look like that because that means it's too much. And if your clip is very bright, like this one, if you turn it up too much, it just starts to crush, and then boom, you have this. Like, this is too much. So usually I want to stay around like the I like to stay around like the 0.6 area. Anything under 0.6, never 0.7 is good, only on very certain clips, but usually I'm around like under 0.6. So for this clip, I'll do like 0.5. And you just keyframe the threshold if you want. You can honestly leave it just like this and have it play out. Sometimes I use it as CC, sometimes I use it as like I'm using it as a transition sometimes, kind of like a fade out. But it's gonna look different on every clip. You can kind of keep the same settings if it looks nice, but 9 times out of 10 you do want to change it just a bit. It's like here, I'm gonna move this keyframe so I can see it a little bit more. I don't want it to be that dark, so I would just turn it down just a bit. We'll do like 0.25 on this one, nothing too crazy. And then we'll keyframe it to 0. And I'll just ease it, I'm not even gonna graph it. It's very quick, but yeah, you can see it fading away on the second clip. Sometimes what I'll do is literally I will, so let's say I keyframed it from, I don't know, 0.5 to like, actually let's keep it at 0. 0.5 to that. So then I'll just flip these two, so the ending being 0. I'll start off here, and then I'll even match the keyframe, so it's like this. And then I'll just turn it up just a bit, so it'll be like 0.3. And I use a kind of somewhat sharp graph, or my main graph mainly. And basically, yeah, it goes out and in, or you could reverse it, go in and out. So yeah, that's hotspots. Forgot to say, you could also use an effect combo with this. The main one that people use is deep glow. People use like deep glow. I have deep glow too, it's not a real difference, but I'll just quickly put some settings in. And for this, I just keyframe the exposure. So it goes down, and then I'll do it for the next clip so you can see it as well. Oh, oops, wrong deep glow. Again, 0.3, or whatever looks best to you. I personally just do 0.3 or 447. It just really depends on the edit, but I'm just quickly typing in settings. And yeah, I'll do something like this. So for this, I don't like the way this looks, so usually I'll just turn the brightness down. It's usually the brightness you just want to change. If you want like hints of glows, I'll do like point, like this, literally like that, that's fine. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this next category, I'm just kind of gonna go over literally just the effects I use from it, which is universe. So I have a couple favorites. My recent favorite has been uni.vhs or uni.vhs. I have a preset for it, but essentially all I do is change this. Well, not that. Oops. Where is it? I think it's in here. Yeah, I changed my take damage to color noise, and cool. You have like this really nice VHS thing I'd be using, and what I put inside of it is just hotspots. Just turn this down just a bit, maybe like 0.25, and yeah, it's very cool. I use this effect sometimes even as one framers, but very nice effect. Looks very clean. And yeah, I'll keep going over uni effects that I use. Another one that I use a lot is uni.chromatic aberration. This is probably one of my favorite effects. You can kind of use this as a CC, or you could just use it kind of just, I mean, you could use it as an effect literally, but it essentially just creates these like the chroma lines on it. You can see like here. I use the effect that kind of has a CC or like a how do I put this? Oh wow, I can't even think. Mainly a CC, yeah. I'm not even gonna try to make something up, but mainly CC. Very cool effect. I don't really change the settings. I just change the distort amount depending on how much I want. I never really go negative. I kind of am always going positive. The highest I go is like 0.5. It's usually as high as I'll go. You could tamper around with the settings if you want. I turn the radial blur down, turn the lens radius down, you know, turn the edge fall off down, etc., etc. Things will start changing. And yeah, that's uni chromatic. I think I have a couple more effects that I use from uni. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Oh, heat wave. This is another really good uni effect. Heat wave is kind of like a how can I show you this in a better way? I'm just gonna turn it up like a lot. And you see how kind of creating waves, and they're like moving. Yeah, it's very good. Like another CC effect that I use. I usually keep it on 12, nothing crazy. 12, 10. You know, you could again play with the wave direction, which will change the direction it's blowing in. So here, I'll show you the little thing so you can see. Blowing that way. Let's say we want it to move that way, or we want it to do about a clean 90 degrees, which I think 90 degrees is the default. So move to the side. You got the flow speed. Turn this up, it'll move faster, I believe. Yeah. And then the blur amount is a little blurs on it. So if I turn it down, you can see it starts to clear up. If I turn it up, it will blur. So yeah, those are the 3 uni effects I use the most. For this next one, we have S_etching, which is a sapphire effect. I'll quickly show you what it looks like. So S_etching, it essentially creates this really cool, like, it almost looks like what's that one effect called? Halftone. It kind of looks like halftone, but not necessarily. There's a somewhat resistance. I mean, not resistance. Resilience. Sorry. Again, let me turn it back on. I personally don't really even change the settings, honestly. Kind of just leave it as it is. Sometimes I do. I usually turn it up a little bit. I think the most I've done is 100. And the frequency, I don't really change it. Same thing with anything else. Don't really change much. You could change the lines frequency to, you know, see what you like. Angle, you could do that as well. Create like some really cool stuff like this. The sharpness, that just makes it sharper. But most of the time, I keep the settings on default. There's no real like change. And 9 times out of 10, oh well, I changed the color too, of course. You can change the color of it. Kind of optional. You don't really have to, but a lot of people don't, and I low-key don't. But you can also change that. What I do a lot is I'll leave it as it is, and sometimes I'll just blend it with overlay and keyframe it. But mainly what I use this effect for is with time warp RGB. So I'll create like this little chromatic thingy, and I'll move along. And you could keyframe it for sure. It's kind of optional, you don't really have to, but this is what it looks like when it's keyframed. And usually I just use those 2 effects with it, and it's cool. I don't really know how to describe what you're looking at, but it's cool. It's very cool, very cool. Like 2 really good effects combo together. And here's what it looks like with the keyframes. Yeah, very, very, very cool effect. In an edit, I would probably only use it like once or twice etching, because it's very like noticeable. It's kind of like one of those really heavy effects you kind of use like once or twice in an edit. Never nothing too crazy. Same thing with the combo with it, the time warp. Time warp is you can use effect literally anytime. You just play with the settings or just change it up. But this is kind of effect you mainly use once. Like you wouldn't want to. You can put it over a whole edit if you really want to, but there's just certain ways to use it. I'm probably using it so wrong, but that's just how I use it. And yeah, that's etching. Alright, for the very last effect I have, before I move on to the honorable mentions, we have polytrace. Polytrace is another really just cool effect. I honestly am really not sure how to explain it. I mean, I feel like the name polytrace is very familiar, but even then I'm not sure how to explain this effect. What I do a lot is I'll literally just kind of play around with the setting until I find something I like. So these are the default settings. Once again, you could turn on draw edges, you could do draw points, which creates these little dots thingies, and then you could invert it, so it's like that, so it shows the color on. You could do that, and then you could change all of these. There's different like modes for it and all this other stuff. Very cool effect. Most of the time I just leave it on this. I probably use this effect very incorrectly, so honestly there might be another tutorial on this, I'm not too sure. But what I do mainly is I'll put this on like 10 and then put the threshold either really low or like kinda high, and sometimes I even just leave it on default, so I'll just leave it on default for the time being. And I literally just blend it with overlay, or actually not overlay, it's not, oops. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It wasn't this one, yeah, it was darken, yeah. Darken or multiply, I can't remember. There was a certain blender mode that I use for this. I like the way multiply looks. Either multiply or just keep it on normal. For the sake of this, I'll just keep it on normal, but I usually mainly stick to multiply. And legit, I just keyframe it with opacity, kind of like almost every other effect I use. Oops. Yeah. And again, you could do the 2 keyframe buildup. It's personal preference, whatever looks best to you. Just a really another cool effect. I don't really, still really don't really know how to use it. So the opacity way is probably not the best, but what I mainly do with it is I put time warp on it and just leave it as is. And sometimes I'll even do, so I do motion detect and time warp. So put the motion detect above the time warp and then put this to like difference add or something. And then even to make this a little bit more complex, throw some hotspots in there to make it darker. Yeah, 0.18 or something. Let's do that. Very cool effect. I've seen some really cool edits with this effect. I'm not sure if they did it the way I did, but that's just a very cool way to use it. And yeah, that is polytrace.
Blue bags and they all collapsed. I rubber band a bunch of $1,000 Delta gift cards. I mean my baby boy, amazing the cash on unknown. I mean my baby boy.